Are we there? There was a poor connection. So it said. Oh, there's my iron as well. Look. Oh, there's a few people now. Just get back into place. Take the iron off the ironing board. Let me know you're there. I can see there's people watching, but I don't know who it is. Hello, Bridget. Are you there, Bridget? Bridget's probably making some bands. Hello, Lindsay. I should have known, shouldn't I? Oh, yes, I've got a package arriving, so it says. Hello, Stella. Stella would have been sewing, hopefully. Probably some log cabin, because I know Stella enjoyed my way of doing log cabin. Hello, Angela. Hope you're well. Hope you've been doing nice things today. Although sometimes we do a few bits in between. I've been, as you can imagine, cutting. And a bit more cutting. Hello, Eileen. Hello, Pamela. Oh, lovely, you got your May Morris. Now, you see, I'm so glad because the same time I posted yours, Pam, I posted, I don't know, 5 or 6 others. Some got it yesterday, and a lady that I posted the week before, hello, Sharon, hello, Catherine, hello, Deborah, hello, Carol. It took, I know there was Easter in between, but I was starting to get worried because it was about 10 days. Hiya, Angela, hello, Jill, hello, Heather. Oh, I've got my groupies. I love my groupies. Hello, Debbie. Yes, so, what was I saying? Yes, so the post, I can totally understand. They are so busy. So, Lindsay, you finished your Lancaster bag with the sawtooth block. Lovely. Oh, right, I'll have a look. I haven't had a chance to look at much today because I've been phone calls and hello, Linda. Hello, Mary. Yes, so, I mean, sometimes I'm on it because it tells you every week what your screen time is. Hello, Rebecca. Hello, Karen. Hi, Linda. And it shocks me sometimes, but I need to know what people want and, you know, answer questions. Hi, Jackie. Oh, just about to start sewing for log cabin. Hello, Maggie. My school pal. Hope you're well. Hi, Debbie. Oh, don't worry about missing yesterday. You can always catch up on So Totally Trisha page if you would like to. Who's busy sewing and looking forward to... Oh, Stella's looking forward to, yeah. Hello, Carol. Oh, yes, there's Bridget. I thought Bridget would be first on the scene, but she's a busy lady. I know. So, we do keep in touch. Hello, Godelieve. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Because of all this sewing for the NHS and in Northampton in particular, and my daughter's nursing home where she works. So we keep finding new designs because people keep updating and some are better. I've got another little one, which is, I won't do it today, but Bridget showed me, and I think it's a really great idea. I like it quick. Hello, Liz, you just got home in time. Oh, your son works at a hospital and his car had to go into the garage, so I'm taxi at present. Oh, that's really good of you. He's so needed. Who else is there? Hello, Polly. Dogs have been a nightmare. Well, at least there's somebody to talk to if there's nobody else about. I mean, I know a lot of people who've got toddlers or a toddler and they're trying to work full-time at home. And I mean, as much as you love your children and when they were little, I can imagine trying to do, especially what I do, with a 18-month-old, 2-year-old, you know, so I do empathise with you. Bridget was on the phone to Mum and bless her, she's so like, oh, it is such a shame, isn't it? I mean, I know from people that call me that sew, quite often a lot of them are on their own, but because they've got their sewing, they are more than happy. I mean, some of them will tune in like this afternoon, but they watch the Hochanda shows and they sew. And so, you know, they keep themselves busy. But when, you know, there's nothing else to do apart from perhaps read a paper and watch the news, which I hope they turn it off a lot of the time because it's quite depressing. Apart from Captain Tom Moore. Oh my goodness, what an inspiration that man is. I just want to throw my arms around him. He's just so lovely. And actually, he lives in the next village to my mum. So she knows exactly where it is. And I love the house that his daughter lives in, that he lives as well. I don't know if you've watched it and you've seen all those almost like outbuildings that have been attached to the property. And I can see, a workshop, a sewing study, all sorts along there. I bet you could too. Hello, Katie. What would you like, Lindsay? You would love a jelly roll in the clover meadow to make a log cabin if you ever get any in. Probably not, because Clover Meadow, I think I've said before, I pre-order all my fabrics through Moda, so it's 3 to 4 months ahead. And if I don't order it then, there's very little likelihood of getting it. It's only if another supplier no longer wants their delivery, and sometimes my lovely lady will offer me bits and pieces from the boot of her car. So I'll keep my fingers crossed, and if she does, I mean, that's the next time she's able to come out to see me, I'll snap them up, unless somebody else gets there before me. Oh, Catherine, what have you been doing? You're busy making scrub bags and those little ear saver bands you showed the other day. Oh, great. I love those ear saver bands because they're nice and quick. It's just the buttons. Now, Bridget's idea for those, which are going down really, really well, haven't got the 2 buttons on, but what they do, we make them a little bit longer, and the elastic from the masks goes, let's see, so it's like, if you imagine a bit of tape. I was trying to find a bit of fabric. Let me find a bit of fabric. Oh, I wonder if I find that. So if you said that was the band that you'd made in the same way, you know, folding it over and make it all neat around the edges, then you'd fold it around and you'd either put just one button there so that goes at the back of the head, and the elastic, so somebody else would put it on for them, the elastic goes in there and it's held by holding that together, and then this piece just pulls to the right width, I don't know if you can see there, with the elastic going through there and there. So I thought, what a great idea. And between the 2 of us, as Bridget showed me a picture of it, I thought, those cam snaps, you know, the plastic poppers. The only thing I'm thinking now, which I didn't say to Bridget at the time, I wonder if they would withstand a 60-degree wash. So guess what I might be doing tonight? Because you can't keep cutting all day long and night as well. So I shall give it a go just to see, because I think those will be really, really handy. And the other thing I've noticed, because I quite enjoy doing all of this, as I said, scrubs, no, I'm not into too much of that. There's too much involved, and I like to be able to feel satisfied that I've made something by sitting at the machine, even if I've done 6. You know, I've made something and they're there. But with scrubs, I think, you know, you might be able to get 4 sets done in a day, which I like to have achieved a bit more than that, saying that. But face masks now. I don't know if you heard the Mayor of London saying that probably when the lockdown is eased, we may have to compulsorily wear face masks, and not medical ones, so they would be fabric ones, and we would all have to wear them, which I shouldn't give my opinion really, but I think it's, apart from the fact of I don't know that I particularly like wearing them, I think it's a great idea because it doesn't protect yourself from the virus, but it stops you passing it out to others. So if everybody wears one, there's not going to be viruses floating around because you're all keeping it to yourselves with the face mask. So bring it on really, because I want this to be over. Okay, Polly wouldn't say talk, more like shout. Oh, I can't remember what we said there, but did you make the wrist? No, I didn't, Heather. I didn't make the wrist pincushion because Monday and Tuesday were a bit up and down. But it's all moved on a bit from then, and my dad is still doing really well. So my daughter's spoken to him today, or spoken to the nurse, and I had spoken to, or I had Skyped him yesterday. So, yeah, it's all looking good. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed and toes. And I think all of you are too, because it's your best wishes and prayers that are keeping him going, I'm sure. I do tell him, but I don't know how much he could hear, because he is not profoundly deaf. He wears hearing aids, but he still can't hear. We used to call it selective hearing, but these days I think he can't hear. But I will be doing the wrist pincushion. In fact, what I'll do, the Monday and Tuesday from this week, which I didn't do, I will do next Monday, Tuesday, because Saturday I'm going to show scrub bags, but with a French seam, because I think that would be a great idea to make them more sturdy for the amount of washing they will be undertaking. And then Sunday, what did I think Sunday? Something came to me and I thought, oh, I'll do that. Possibly, yes, I'll have to write it down, otherwise I shall forget. I will do the binding of a quilt, because I have made so many starts, and even today's one that I'll do, that I'll see if I can get that ready to do the binding around, because some of you have asked for that, because it's always, even if you've done it before, it's sometimes nice to have a reminder. And what I might do, because when we're binding a quilt, the start is fine and going around the corners can be fine, and you can be quite good at doing all of that, but it's the joining, when the two ends come together, is how do you join it there and get a really good finish. There's probably 4 ways of doing it. There's the dead simple way of straight edge to edge, a straight seam, and then there's the diagonal seam, but I've got the diagonal seam with a foolproof way of having it exactly the right size. So I'll perhaps show you that as well. Hi Anne. Hello Joanne. Able to see you at last. Oh good, have you not been able to pop in? Never mind. Jill's husband knows when she disappears with her iPad at 4:30 every day. Hello Joanne. Oh, Katie, you're missing not having a full class of children. Seems strange with a few. Yes, I bet it does. But I bet you've got time to think, probably, without having to say, will you sit down? Please come over here. Let's do this bit. And yes, I know. Hello, Linda. Hello, Kate, my lovely. Just back from the dog walk. Oh, it must be dog walking time. Hello, Paula. Hello, Sue. Hello, Sasha. Hello, Annalise. Hello, Cherub. And Brenda. And yes, it is great news about my dad. Thank you so much. Hi, Mary. Does this work without camera and mic? At my end, yes. I'm doing it with iPad and just my voice. I think you can hear me. You'd tell me, wouldn't you, if you couldn't hear me? I'm not shouting. And Stella says 1 inch. What's Stella saying 1 inch for? I'll be back in a mo. Must switch my iron off. Yes, I did that. You know, it sort of makes your heart stop, doesn't it? When you go back and you think, oh, half an hour later or an hour. Carol's just finished and test washed her 10th French seam bag at 60 degrees, and they're ready to, I thought they might be. Hello, Rhonda. Just finished the spring bag. Lovely. You are absolutely coming on leaps and bounds, aren't you? And your wadding is in the post. So, Monday, Tuesday, I would imagine, yeah, or even Wednesday, I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, most of what's going out for me at the minute, apart from one, is getting there in a couple of days. So you'll be able to crack on with all those things you want to do. I'm really pleased that you're loving your sewing as well. So, yes. So I was looking for, let's get on to the easy cathedral window. And I did come across, this is from years ago. This is a proper cathedral window. You can see you've usually got a little recess there, or a flappy bit. And I've actually, these parts around the outside are by by machine. But here in the middle, can you see that there? That's all hand stitched down, which you can. And I've done, you know, when you put that effort in, really, I've just done it on a calico bag, which was obviously for a sample of some sort. But you can see the effect. Oh, yes, it was a sample, because I have done, Yes, I have stitched most of those by, oh, that one I've done by machine, just to see the different look. So by a straight stitch on the machine, or hand sewing, or zigzagging there, which you can do. But the zigzagging will actually go through, so it's only the hand sewing that leaves that little recess behind to give it a little bit of dimension there. But that's what the cathedral window is like, and it gives you, although we're working with squares all the time, it gives you the circular appearance and that movement. And I love cathedral window, but normally it is the time involved to do all of that. So any way of doing something a little bit quicker is always good. So I've got this was a workshop I did many years ago. So doing it on a big scale, it needs less. Can you see that there? Do you like? Hello Janet, hello Claire, hello Sue. Strippy, just finished the the strippy bag, I know. The one with the 10 fat quarters, yes. That's lovely. It's a nice bag, and using the format with the strippy bag, you could make whatever you like, or you could do a plique on plain fabric. You could run your strips in the other direction, so rather than vertical, you could do them across, but just use your measurements and it will work. So the easy cathedral window, so you can see you have got the same, if I show you there, you've got the same shapes, these curved edges here. Okay, I've done it on a bigger scale, but I've worked this one on charm pack size. So if you don't like your cutting and you've got a charm pack, it will save you doing a lot of the cutting, because everything is a 5-inch square, apart from this centre one, which I've cut at the minute as a 6-inch, but we can always trim that down a little bit depending on when we put it there. So shall I show you how to start? Okay, let's pop that. Where could we? Oh, possibly over there, so you can just about, perhaps you can see that. Right, so I have got 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got a charm pack laying around which I haven't used. This is not Moda. This is a Craft Cotton Company one, and they are going to be my squares which form the outer block, and then for my curved pieces I'm just going to use cream as a good contrast, and then my centre is going to be a focal flowery one. So as I say, they were in a fat quarter pack, apart from this one, and there was a stripy one, and I thought that's not going to work, so I just went and what I could find very quickly. So they're my 4 that I'm going to do. So we've got the 4, and what I might do, if I bring the iPad down a bit, sorry, I'll move a little bit here, that's it, that's better. Can you see that okay? Hi Babs. Whoops, keep it steady. So if I put that there, and I would just lay them out in a formation of whatever you would like to be, but I'll lay the 4 there, if you can see those. Wait a minute. No, that way. That way. Yes, I think you can see those there now. So I've got my 4 laid out. Then with my squares, that one's on the fold, so that's no good. With these are 5-inch squares as well. What I've already done, so that I don't have to get up and go to the ironing board, what we do is take the diagonal corner to corner, fold it in half, and press. So you press that all so that fits exactly to make a triangle. So I have got quite a few triangles ready pressed. So there we are, that's pressed, there's the folded edge. So what you're going to do with all these 4 squares is place towards the centre, so that's come from the centre there, we're going to place a folded square onto that one square there, and we'll just pop a pin at those 2 edges just to hold it, and then I'm going to do exactly the same. So the raw edge part has to go onto the square that's pointing towards the centre. So again, line the raw edges up and just pop a pin there to hold it, because you don't want it to move while you're stitching. And then similarly on the top one. There we are. Just move that round so it's easier. So pin, such, and that top. Now you do get a little bit of bulk in these seams, but no, that's it. Let's put that down right. It really is worth it. Okay, and then this one is going into there. It's only because I turned it around. But if you're using directional fabric, you just have to think a little bit more as to what direction you want your directional fabric to go, basically. So we'll put that there. So if you can see, what I've done, I've overlaid a square so it forms a diamond in the middle. So now, which I think most of you will probably have done already, a 4-patch block. 1, 2, 3, 4, a 4-patch. So to join those, we'll take the top row and put right sides together. And I've got those pins in. Now, if before this you wanted to stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge just to hold those triangles to the base fabric, you can do that and do it about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. But otherwise, you just take your pins out. I keep my hand on the edge that I'm going to be stitching. Just move those out of the way, and then stitch from top to bottom. So 1/4 of an inch seam. Start stitching there, and just down. And because I've got the pins in, it just holds them exactly where they need to go. Don't need to reverse, as in patchwork. We're going to be going over seams, so there we are. That's what we've got. So they're still flappy at the moment, and that was my top part. And then I'll bring the bottom part back in again, and again right sides together, and just line those up. I'll take both those pins out because they're in the way, and pop that under the machine. And I'm just making sure my triangles that are sandwiched are lined up there at the bottom, and stitch down. Okay, and open that out. Right, so what you'll find is you have got your seam allowance here, your 1/4 of an inch for when you're joining another block and another block, and similarly down here, just about. And so now, and this is, I would probably go to the ironing board, and this seam under here, iron one way, and the other one iron the other way. You could, of course, you could probably open that up, which would also distribute the bulk. But I just find that sometimes I don't get that perfect meeting of the seams here if I don't do the nesting thing where I put all of it to one side and all of it to the other. So we'll just do right sides together, and then I'll just look at it here, and I just pull it either way so that I get it right together, and then squash it over and push the two together. And I most definitely, because there's a few layers of fabric, pin that one. That's the first one I'm going to come to, so I'm pinning that in place so it doesn't move at all. And then I'll line up the outside edge, just take those pins out and stitch along here. So when we go over this middle point, just make sure that's going the right way, and you see I keep the pin in right to the last minute, and that way the fabric doesn't move. And I'm just taking my pin out and just lining those triangles at the bottom and stitching across there. Okay, so now I have, you see that's quite nicely in the centre there. So now I have what's going to be ready to be my cathedral window. So it's here that we need to cover, and this is where we lay that's it. So I'm going to you want to press this definitely at this point, because otherwise you want it flat, and you want it pressed out so that it is completely flat to take this this centre fabric. So as I say, that is actually about right. Can you see you want it to be slightly smaller than your cream? This, when it folds back, can fold over there, but it's here where you want it to be just set back just a little bit. So how I make sure it's in the right place is I make that point sit on the seam line there. Okay, and then I am going to pop a pin just to hold that, and then at the other end as well, let's pull it up a little bit, so just pull that down. I'll put a pin down at this end. I might even put it just higher up because we're going to be working on these edges. Flatten that down, put a pin across, or put it that way so it doesn't get in the way, and across here. And again, I'm making sure that point of the focal square is right, pointing towards that. I'm going down here towards the seam line there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold or pull these edges back, you see, and that will tuck under. But if you go to the middle first of all and just pull that back just as far as it will go. Now that to me, and then that gives a lovely curve around there. So I will put a pin into that curve. Can you see how that's going to go now? That's going to curve beautifully around there. Now it's easier when it's on a flat surface. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start, so when I start stitching, I'm not going to start or go when I've carried all the way around. I'm not going right into that point because it will be very bulky there. But what I'll show you as I do it, but I'm going to stitch probably to just above that raw edge, and say when I get here, and then I'm going to jump a straight stitch over to get onto the next edge. So we'll just pop that under the machine. So I've curved it round. Can you see how that points beautifully into that seam there? And I'm going to stitch fairly closely to the edge, or as long as you find a point on your machine, which you can, oh sorry, on the foot, that you can look at, and then just stitch. So I'm going to stitch, as I say, fairly closely, and I'm just watching the fabric there, and then you can push the focal fabric underneath and just make that curve down to this end so that it's just where you want it to be. So I'll take that pin out and go down here. So before I get right to that point, I now want to move the next side. So this side here, I'm just going to push that back as well so that I can get this nice curve down at this point. So I'm pushing that down. I don't know how well you can see that, but I'm pushing that down so I've got a nice point at the bottom. Then I will continue sewing until I get to very close to the other side. Then I'm going to just pivot, and it's actually 2 stitches, so that it goes into the middle here, and then it goes, the next stitch will be into this next side. So again, I'm just going to pull that back. You can pin that in the middle if you like. I'm just making sure that curve is nice as well. So again, we'll just go round and just holding that down. Not particularly straight there, but take that pin out because I don't want it in the way. Just make the seam go underneath, and then so we're doing this top stitching all in one one continuous thread. So as I'm getting towards the end here, I'm moving that next one back so that I can form the curve at the bottom here. So I'm pushing the raw edges of the focal fabric with, let's do it with my seam ripper. That's it, just use your seam ripper, push that under, and that gives you a nice neat entry into the bottom here. So one more, and as I say, pivot, one into the middle, and that's one into the next. So you can hardly see that. So then again, I'm just going to push back at the midpoint, and then you'll get that nice even curve. So again, just carry on, and it just sits there. It's really not difficult. It doesn't, or it behaves itself. So go around there. I'm going to take that pin out now because I don't need that in there. And just come round here. Now I'm nearly there, so again, I'm going to push the midpoint of the next curve around, and then using my seam ripper just push the fabric underneath that curve, put my finger on the end point, and down just to where the two edges meet, and then one stitch into the middle here and one stitch over into your next curve, and then again down with my finger and down to the curve. So I'm just making them touch down there, and I'll do the same again. I've gone into the next one, and then I'll just come 3 stitches. That way a true patchworker would leave a long thread and then hand sew that into the back or the wadding, just so that it's not there, so it's not seen. But there you go. What do you think about that? Let's have a look. I think it is lovely. I'm quite pleased with that. Hello Patricia, and hello Trish. Hello Helen. Gosh, there's lots of you. And Janet. But tell me, how did you think that was nice and easy? So all I would do now is make another block like that, or like I've done with my sample. I use the same fabrics, but I just move them into different places. So, you know, I've got a yellow spot here, I've got the greeny one, oh, I can't see the rest. But one of the fabrics I've got here, I then put in the centre here. So I've used 5 fabrics and just moved them, or I might have used 6. I think it was a 6 fat quarter pack. And just moved them around so it all blends in together. And then I'm sure, because it wouldn't take, if you've got a 6 fat quarter pack, it wouldn't take all the fabric. So I would have had some left over. So you can see what I've done around the edge here. I've put squares. I've done, what would they have been? They were probably 2-inch cut. So they've come down to 1.5-inch squares just to go as a border. And it just sort of finishes it off. It brings that colour out to the outer edge as well. So, Strippy, sorry, yes, okay. You like it, Lindsay? Good. And Angela likes it. I think it is loving this and love the colours. Oh, yes, thank you, Polly. I think you could do it too, Lindsay. I've seen much more difficult things that you've done than this, but it is, if you imagine, that could be, even if you wanted to do it with bigger squares, I've used 5-inch squares. If you wanted to do, let's say, 7-inch squares, you would then be talking about around 14, pop a border around, you've got a cushion front. I think it's lovely. And also, because you've got the layers of fabric, because we've done those folded squares into the triangles to give the cathedral window effect, it's got a lot of body to it, as opposed to if you're just using cotton fabric. I usually like to use 2 layers or at least some wadding behind it just to give it a bit of structure. So you make it is easy, Patricia, I promise you. I promise you. Because you know that I only do things that are easy. It might look complicated, but if I can simplify it and you can see it and think, gosh, I can do that, and I know you can. I think every single one of you can. Yes, Carol, I'm sure you've done it before. The impression of curve blocks using the folded bias edge. It is indeed. So that is the reason, which I should have said, the reason it folds back into that beautiful curve is because when we folded that square in half, the edge we're working with there, that folded edge, is on the bias of the fabric, which is the stretchiest part. So it allows us to just push that back. There's actually a lot more blocks that can be made, and I have got one that I might do at some point. You know, when you see something and you think, oh, I'm going to do that. Well, I just take photographs and I come back to it in the end. And I thought that is absolutely lovely. So watch out for that one. You'll have to remind me, I'm sure. Katie, large one is beautiful fabrics. Yes, I can't think where they were from, but they were quick and simple. Trishway, yes. And you could do this, Jill, too. I know you think you're a novice, but goodness, you're coming on as well. And it is all, somebody asked me the other day, I'm really new to this sewing. Do you think I can do it? And I said to her, if you want, because it's all in the mind, if you want to do some sewing, you will be able to do it. Because time again, I say, especially on the telly, you hear them selling sewing machines, and some of the words that people come out with, or I'd say the presenters then, they'll say, look how much money you can save. We all know that is complete fallacy, because you spend so much money on fabric. In fact, every piece of fabric you set eyes on, you've got to have, haven't you? So I'm going to put this camera back up again. But they say, oh, you can save money because you can turn your children's trousers up, you can turn the curtains up, and, you know, all these things which we don't like doing anyway. And, oh, I think that's going funny again, isn't it? That's better. And we don't like doing it, so you probably end up sending it to one of the shops on the high street to do the alterations for you. So you don't, and because you don't want to do it, you're not going to use the sewing machine. But in your mind, if there's things you want to make and you want to do, you definitely can do it. Hello, Penny. I've always done these by hand. I think I'll definitely... Well, I started off by hand as well. And as you probably know, by hand, you actually start off with a square of fabric and you press a 1/4 inch of fabric in on each of the sides. And I think then you take the corners into the centre. I think that's how we do it. I haven't done it for so long, but it's a bit like when we're back at school with folding those things that you use and writing inside them, but it's all an origami technique. And it took forever to do one. It was just... But I then went on to, which is another machine technique for Cathedral window, where you do it all by machine sewing. So that's an in-between step. This is by far the easiest. So yeah, definitely give it a go, and I think you'll like it. I mean, you could, using bigger squares, as I was saying, you know, perhaps use an 8-inch square or a 10-inch square, you could make a quilt in no time at all. And I think it would look stunning. And this is the sort of thing, you know, I said the focal fabric in the centre, that's where you use the fabric that is absolutely beautiful, that you don't want to really cut into, or those that have got big designs, it will show. And I think, in fact, I'm wanting to make one myself now. But then I haven't really got a spare bed because they're all fabric rooms or sewing rooms. How terrible am I? I like it as a larger block. Yes, definitely would make it easier. Mary, I can see you about to try one now because I'm sure you can do that. Oh yes, that's right. I was going to do it at the Emporium, wasn't I? Well, when we get back here, I will do it as a workshop and you can come along. Yes, when the rest of your fabric comes. I do the photo thing but never get back to it. I must admit, it's only now and again, yeah, on the phone or the iPad, in the photos, yes, I have one that is called, I think, my ideas or something like that. And rarely do I go back to it, but there we go. Not tried. Oh, Joy, give it a go. It really is lovely. You have to believe to succeed. Absolutely, Katie. And I bet you tell all your children that as well. But I think it's absolutely true. Perhaps that's why I do the things I do, because I have always believed, and this is totally random, I've always believed, but I haven't tried it yet, I can build a brick wall. And I would actually like, because I think I can. I wouldn't be able to build a house, so I'm not going that far, but I believe I could build 3 or 4 layers of bricks in the garden, you know, to my specifications, and I would be happy with it. And I could make that cement mix, I'm sure. So, yeah, believe you can do it. If you try and totally fail, try once again and then call it a day if it just isn't you. But otherwise, yeah, you have to believe. Hi, Linda. Linda, yes, I know that name. Yes. I think you were going to come to Galleria, but that didn't sort of work out very well at the time. But here we go. Things have changed. I've moved forward, and oh, Joy's making a craft bag. Yes, go for it, Katie, most definitely. Right, so I have got to, I won't keep you any longer today. I'm a bit earlier than usual because perhaps I haven't rambled so much. I've got to do a little bit more packing. I've got a few face masks to make. Little tip if you're making face masks, because my daughter took my sample over to see if it was fine, which they loved, and this is a shaped one. I'll show you how to do it. But the suggestion, and I think perhaps if you're making some or you're in a group that does, what she asked for, she really wanted plastic to be on the inner side, but I just didn't know. We had this discussion the other day, but what she said is that don't need plastic, but can we do 3 layers of fabric? So, and the actual testing of is that you can't blow a candle out when you have this face mask on, which I thought, perhaps that is a good test, sort of something fairly straightforward. If you can't blow a candle out wearing the face mask, then that is giving the protection that it's supposed to. Only any germs you have going outwards. I'm not saying about those coming into you. So I should do that, and I don't think that would be too much of an issue, because I do an outer piece and an inner, and I do right sides together, so I should just put 2 pieces right sides together and 1 piece the other and stitch around, and I can't see it being very difficult at all. But yes, Carol, I thought it was a good test, and actually I tried it on and it felt far better than the very first one, the pleated ones that are rectangles and then pleated. When I put that on, I thought, oh, I couldn't stand wearing this all the time. But nurses do, all those NHS workers and care home workers all the time, so it's something you have to get used to if it comes to it. So please ask me if there's anything else you'd like to do. As I said, I will do what I should have done last Monday and Tuesday, this coming Monday and Tuesday. I'll update the post so that you know what's coming up, and hope you can join me. One thing I'll say, thank you, all those people that bought from my show. I've got a whole weekend of working and probably more, but I do appreciate your support all the time. And apart from that, I will say my usual: stay safe, stay at home, stay safe, take care, and I shall see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.